A dangerous RV homeless encampment that residents have been desperate to clean up for years is finally getting some attention, thanks to our own Haley Winslow, who has been shining a light on this story for a long time. She does it all. She does the weather. She does field reporting, producing, and she gets results. Haley Winslow back with our story tonight. Haley.
Thank you, Alex. This has been the site of quite a bit of trouble, and if you've driven anywhere near Jefferson Boulevard in Playa Vista, you're very well aware of what's been going on there. The site of meth lab explosions, fires, murders, you name it, it's happened there. This is step one. They did it last Thursday. It took a couple of days. There's still a lot more work to be done, but it is a huge relief already for everybody who lives and visits this area.
Some of the things that have gone on here are just absolutely outrageous.
Finally, progress at the RV encampment on Jefferson Boulevard in Playa Vista after several years of absurdity.
All of that was allowed to go on without any kind of intervention from government officials. That ends today.
Some highlights here: human feces. A homeless woman scoops into a bucket from the encampment porta potty and throws on a lady just trying to help. Homeless arrests for stealing an elderly woman's car that her neighbors spotted at the encampment and then stole back. And these hoses draining human waste from their RV dump tanks into the environmentally protected Ballona Marsh and wetlands, home to hundreds of species, including the federally endangered Belding Savanna sparrow and El Segundo blue butterfly.
The crime and the drugs and the overdoses, the violence, the stolen bikes, the chop shops. This is also a Native American burial ground.
The meth dealers that had meth labs in their RVs, and there would be explosions and fires.
In March of 2020, had a fire that burned 5 acres of our protected habitat.
Constant fires, multiple shootings on a sensitive ecological reserve that looks more like a landfill. Litter everywhere, needles, hazardous chemicals, and raw sewage.
All of this, cigarette butts, all of this is garbage that is going to end up in our marsh, our storm drains, and in our ocean if we don't stop and pick it up, and if we don't say enough is enough.
Councilmember Tracy Park had enough. Elected to the 11th District in November with plans to clean up LA's West Side. Something community advocates like Lucy Hahn have been fighting hard to do for years.
Just so appreciative of Tracy working with all our partners, Friends of Ballona Wetlands, our nonprofit Friends of the Jungle, as well as the community to make sure that this happened and that the RVs were cleared and bringing back the marsh wetlands back to its previous state.
Park's plan is for this area to be better than it was pre-encampment. So after several months of homeless outreach, some accepting, others declining safer and more humane conditions, at the end of July, Park and her team completed phase 1, clearing part of the encampment, about 1,000 feet, and putting in place temporary barricades and chain link fence.
Just last week when we were here beginning this project, 3 stolen ATM machines were recovered from this area. This could have been done sooner. It should have been done sooner. It should have never happened in the first place. And my only regret is that it took as long as it did take to deliver the results that this entire community deserves. My team and I are not going to rest until we have addressed this issue across the entire district.
I think a lot of residents would say hallelujah to that. They, of course, did months and months of outreach with the homeless. Some of them went into shelters, some accepted better, more humane living conditions, others declined it. Now, phase 2 of this cleanup is going to be on Wednesday, and it's going to take a couple of months to finish everything. And then when they're done, Park and her team have also launched the Jefferson Trail Rehabilitation Project, and their goal with that is to make that area better than it was before it became a homeless encampment.
How do they make sure that this doesn't become whack-a-mole? So, okay, they're not there, but they just moved down the street, now there's over here, or there's some of them are here, some of them are here, because that's what we've seen in Venice in the past. They're off the boardwalk, but then they're a different part of Venice.
It is the million-dollar question, and it's exactly what's happening in Harbor Gateway and the unincorporated areas of LA County that we've done lots of coverage on, where there's 500 plus RVs. I spoke to people there today, and they said that's exactly what's happening, is they're basically just moving to another area. So that's something that, of course, has to be addressed. The other big question, of course, is how do you make sure they don't just go back and park right along that fence and those barricades? And Tracy Park does have a plan. She's not ready to disclose what it is, but she does have a plan to make sure that that doesn't happen again. But as we know, this has been illegal for a long time. They're parked and they're living, a lot of the area where they're living is environmentally protected wetlands and marsh, but they have not been enforcing it. They've been parked in illegal parking zones, and once that moratorium was lifted after COVID, they still live there and nobody enforced it.
Well, we see that in so many neighborhoods, and those RVs gotta go somewhere. They're going somewhere.
Unless, of course, you get actual housing for people and you fix the problem, and then maybe people don't have to live in RVs. But that's a whole other, more complicated thing, right?
Yeah, and the other thing that I find from talking to homeless, it's not just our homeless that we're dealing with. It's homeless from literally all over the nation that is coming. You know, they're coming here for the weather. You know, now there's talks of Anchorage, Alaska's mayor shipping their homeless here. I mean, it's not just our locals that we're having to deal with. And of course, it's a domino effect. There's obviously a lot of mental health that goes into play here, and
Well, you know,
a lot
it's
at stake.
one of the crises of our times.
Yeah, it just seems to be getting worse before it's getting better.
Yeah. All right, Haley, thanks for that look.